Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Carlin, how you doing today?
Dude, that intro just makes me so happy every time.
I wish we could get I wish we could play like Welcome to the Jungle or Kiss or Van Halen or something, and it'd be totally fine. I guess we could if we wanted to pay them for it.
My Alexa plays Welcome to the Jungle.
Dude, my kids get Alexa. I walked in, I think maybe, I don't know if you saw it. I walked in on, my wife and I were sitting in the kitchen eating lunch, and Hot for Teacher by Van Halen starts playing in my son's bedroom. It's the middle of the day. My son is 4, and him and my 2-year-old were in there. And I'm like, I got to film this because I don't know what the hell is going on the other side of this door. But in the event it is good, at least I got it on camera. So I walk in there, and he's like jamming out to Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. And I'm like, Cole, where did you hear about this? And he's like, well, you play it. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, but how did you know how did you start this music? How did you play it? And he's like, let me show you. And he's like, Alexa. And then it stops. And he's like, play Eddie Van Halen. And they know Eddie Van Halen because he I don't know if you know, so you know the song Beat It by Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So Eddie Van Halen did the guitar solo in that song. And my kids, as you know, are huge Michael Jackson fans. So yeah, they're big Van Halen fans too.
I don't think I've met any family that has more of a Thriller appetite than your kids.
Dude, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? My 2-year-old Palmer, she asked me probably at least once a day if we can watch she doesn't call it zombie, she calls it werewolf. She wants to watch werewolf because at the very beginning, that's what Michael Jackson is of the Thriller music video. Dude, you know what I love? Check this out. I don't know who this is, but I love that is like the very first comment before we even go live. I see the comment come through and they're like, yo, and then Eric Portman's like, yo, and then Larry's like, let's freaking go, and then somebody else is like, thank growth, it's Friday. So thank you guys for making my day. Today's been an awesome day. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. If you guys are new to watching this live, I'm assuming the person who posted this is watching this from like maybe a group, maybe a Facebook group. And so there's a link right above the video. It says, click this link to allow StreamYard access to share your Facebook name or something along those lines. So if you guys don't mind, that would be awesome. Because we'd love to see who we're connecting with. I know you guys can see who's posting on your end, but we can't see it on our end, and we'd love to be able to interact with you and have that connection with you guys. So don't forget to lend StreamYard access. But guys, thank growth that is Friday, and thank you guys for being here. I'm really, really excited. Carlin and I are talking about something called tea, and no, it's not like it's the tea like you drink. Say what?
Said it's not the gossip.
It's not the gossip. We should actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we should probably have like some sort of like play on words or something involving like the Boston Tea Party, but it's it's like growth related, like kind of a play on words. Or we just dropped tea all over the place.
Man, I was thinking like Gossip Girl. That's what I would think of when you first used the acronym T. I was like, oh, what's the tea? Like, what do you got to dish?
What is tea? I never heard that. I never heard tea as in like gossip.
It's the most annoying thing ever. It's like when people want to know like what the gossip is, they go, oh, what's the tea? I'm like, speak English.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so now you're updated with the 2020s.
Now I know. Yeah, it's always good to be in. That was always the craziest thing of being in the military, because you join the military when you're 18 years old, and everybody else when you get to your first base, everybody else is looking at you and they were like, you were born when? That's so crazy. And I'm like, man, if I had a penny for every time somebody told me that. But then as you stay longer in the military and you see all these new cats coming in and you were like, you were born when? You were born after 9/11? That's so crazy, man. Now it's 2023 and we got people that can join who were born in 2005, man. That's
my dad and I have a joke. So my dad works at the National Laboratory and he works with like this younger group of people. And it's so funny because he comes home and he goes, yeah, this guy I work with, he's probably like 20, 21. He goes, yeah, back in the last century. it just makes me laugh because now when I think of like 1990s, I'll go, yeah, back in the last century when I was born. My dad's just like, Carlin. Like,
the tail end of the last century. This is what I was doing. No, guys, we are not talking T.E.E. We are talking T.E.E. T.E.E. Actually, we probably ought to. I think it's fair to say we coined that one.
dude,
I haven't
you
heard
came up
anybody
with
else
that one
talk
on
about
the
it.
fly.
Well, you came up with the acronym, but I said time, energy, and effort, and then you were like, "Oh, T! Oh my gosh, there's something there." And if you guys don't know Carlin always has like the best ballin' ideas, and they're off the cuff, just like that. Like the way that her mind works and like brings things together is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, well, you can thank the military for that one. I was like, oh, look, there's another acronym.
Here's another acronym. So yeah, that is true. That is so funny. That's all the military is acronym. So we've got an acronym for you guys. We are going to be talking about what is the T and why is it important. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, guys, is time, energy, and effort. Some of the big main things we're going to be going over are what skills are you using to manage your time? What level of energy are you using with what you are doing? And what kind of effort are you putting into your daily tasks? Now, to preface this real quick, I have something that I want to share with you guys. Well, two things real quick. And one of them was I had a buddy telling me this, and I was like, it was on a rafting trip that he went on up here in Alaska. And I was like, dude, you want to hear the most Alaskan thing in the world? Check this out. So my friend was on a rafting trip, and he had some family and friends that were with him, and they were up here in Alaska rafting on this river. I forgot which river it is, but they were rafting down this river, and in some areas it was slower than others. Some areas it was more, swift, and then some areas it was shallower and more deep. And anyway, so you had just a whole bunch of varying degrees of technicality to this river, and they were coming around this bend. And as he was coming around this bend, he saw a mama moose with a brand new calf.
Oh.
And he was watching her, and he was like, man, I wonder what she's going to do. And you could tell like they were trying to figure out where to cross this river at. And he said it was so surreal. I mean, this is all just happening like live, it's something you'd be seeing on like National Geographic or something. But stuff like this happens all the time up here, as you could probably imagine. But so he's watching to see what this moose is going to do. And this moose starts to, the mom starts to cross this river, and it gets all the way across. And it was deep. If you guys have ever seen how tall a moose are tall as hell, man. And the water was coming, up to the mid belly section of this moose. And the moose got to the other side of the river, and it looked back, and the calf was trying to figure out how to get across. And so naturally the calf just starts following its mom, and it starts going downstream. And this is all happening like right before his eyes. And so he watches the mom start running downstream to go catch up with the calf. The calf gets back up on the bank. The mom crosses the river again to go back with its calf. And here's what's really interesting. Here's the interesting part. And I just thought, as soon as he got done telling me this, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is such an amazing analogy for what Carlin and I are doing, and what a good representation of this podcast is in the show on our Facebook group. And what happened was the mom moose stood upstream of the calf. So it kind of created a dam blocking the current. And so if the stream was moving this way, and then the mama moose went first, and then the baby calf went right next to her, and that mom kind of created that dam right there and helped, lower the current and the speed in which the calf was trying to cross that stream with. And it was just absolutely amazing. And they ended up getting to the other side, no problem. But I thought, oh my gosh, like what an amazing story, first and foremost, but what an awesome representation of, this podcast and the coaching program and the things that we're doing. Because there's so many times that I feel like just as an entrepreneur, where you're like, man, okay, the next obstacle, my next goal or whatever is on the other side of this stream. And sometimes, depending on where you're crossing it and who you're with, it's like, man, how am I going to get across this thing? And sometimes you jump in and you knowing that you have to move forward and you're going to get swept down that stream a little bit. And that's okay. But that's where the power of community comes in. That's where the power of leveraging, other individuals who have been where you have been and can help you forge and move across those streams accordingly so you can continue hitting, your next milestone and getting to your next destination. So I thought that was really cool. But I had a really interesting thing that happened to me last night, Carlin, that I was going to tell you about. And I was like, man, maybe I'll save it and kind of share it on this story. So I was working on some stuff last night, and my daughter, who is 7, comes up behind me. She's standing like right here watching me work as we're getting ready for bed, right before we were getting ready for bed. And she's like, Dad, are you about done? I said, yeah. And then she looks and she's like, she's all the tabs open on my computer and like Google's open. And so she's working with computers and stuff at school. And so she knows about it. And she's like, you help people solve problems, right? This is how she worded it, which was really interesting. She's like, you help people solve problems, right? And I said, yeah. And she's like, you use Google to help you solve those problems? And I said, yeah. And she says, is that cheating? She says, at school, I have to figure out problems by myself. And I can't use Google and I can't use all these other things. And in my head, I wanted to say, like, in my head, I'm sitting here thinking, like, yeah, that's exactly the type of thinking as to why there's a 99% and a 1%. And it's also the same reason why you see more and more people that are homeschooling their kids just to remove that way of thinking. And so I told her, I sat there for a second because I'm like, I need to be very careful with how I articulate this to my 7-year-old. But I said, hey, you know what? The faster that we can figure out how to solve problems, the better the world's going to be. And that applies to school. But when you get a little bit older, you can use Google and you can use other resources and people and things like that to help you move a little more quickly. And it's okay. And it's not cheating. As a matter of fact, it's encouraged. And so just having that kind of clarity sometimes, I mean, I think kids are sometimes the best teachers. I don't got to tell you, Carlin.
Dude, I learn something new from my kids every day.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So just, it reminded me just of the T, the time, energy, and effort that we spend, in our day to day. A lot of times we just get trapped in this mindset of thinking that we have to do everything and we have to understand everything before we do it. And especially when it comes to like setting goals, for example, we set goals according to what we think we're capable of reaching. And then oftentimes, because of the level of time, energy, and effort that's spent shooting for something so low, it's easy to get upset or frustrated when it produces the same low quality of results. So I wanted to kind of preface with that, just because it really helped put things into perspective yesterday when I was talking with my daughter about that. And I was like, man, that's a killer question. That is a killer question. Man, we got some killer comments in here. But Carlin, so the big question is, why is time management so important? Why do you think that's something that a lot of people tend to overlook as their own time management?
I think there's a lot of different reasons for why time management is important, but I think especially one of the big things for me is when I'm managing my time appropriately, then that frees up more time in my day. And it sounds very counterproductive, but when you have an idea of what your day is supposed to look like, you've gotten all your tasks done. So, like, while my girls are at school, that's when I have my day scheduled. So, and granted, it's a whole balancing act happening here because I've got the 2 boys here. But like, I know what time my podcast is, so I know that in my time management, my boys need to be asleep at my nap or taking their nap at my podcast time. And I know that if I take my boys to the park in the morning, then I can get them down for a nap at an appropriate time and get the things done that I need to do. That way, I'm not panicking at the end of the day going, oh, dang, I forgot I needed to do this, 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 and this still. Having that good time management frees up my time later on in the day to be able to spend the time I want with my family. And having all of that just kind of like organized, it helps keep things fluid, it helps keep things moving, it creates a sense of stability for one. And honestly, from someone who deals with a lot of anxiety, having my day scheduled and my time managed appropriately mitigates so much of that stress. And I think that's really, really overlooked.
I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. It's really easy to just start getting so overwhelmed with things where you're like, man, I just don't even know where to start. And oftentimes, that just leaves everybody literally running around like a chicken with the head cut off. They're like, man, I just got to do everything. I'm so behind. I've got to do this, 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 and this, and I've got to do this, 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 and this. And I got to jump into this, and I got to make this call, and then I got to follow up. And then, oh yeah, I forgot about this little thing called social media that my mentor told me I got to get out onto, or my coach, or whoever. So it's really easy to start getting caught up in all the little things that happen throughout our day when it's not time managed appropriately. And I know you and I hammer on this kind of stuff a lot. But one of the things that has really helped me, journaling, has helped me organize my thoughts and has helped me organize and manage my time in so many different ways that I can't even begin to describe. But it's one of those things where I don't think most people take the time to really do it. I don't think they see that as a money-making activity. And I'll be honest with you, for the longest time, I didn't do it myself because of that very reason. I'm like, oh, am I going to call sellers today, or am I going to journal today? And hindsight, looking back at it, I can see how much being kept in that mindset of I need to make calls, 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 that it kept me from actually ever growing my business or expanding on any ideas that I had, or got me thinking bigger and solving other problems, because I was just so caught up in the monotony of what I thought was actually a money-making activity that I didn't consider anything else. So one thing I've done to tailor my time with regard to journaling is I've started annotating in my journal just the things that I'm doing throughout the day. Like the Zoom calls, the phone calls that I make. If somebody calls me at if I get a random call that wasn't scheduled or anything like that in the middle of the day, that's stuff that I write down, and I just jot down what we talked about. What was the result of that conversation? And I do that Monday through Saturday. I still do it to this day. And then I do that Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, I take 15 or 20 minutes and I go through my journal of what I did that week. And then I can easily see, oh my gosh, I jumped on a Zoom here, but it wasn't directly tied with where it is I'm trying to go and what it is I'm trying to do. I took a phone call here that's the same thing. And then before you know it, you got 6 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours plus that you didn't realize, where you could have actually spent those doing actual money-making activities, or you could have condensed it and put yourself in a position to either expedite it, get somebody else to help you do it, or whatever. And like you said, getting that sense of clarity and management and control over your time really gives you so much time back to your family and the things that you're wanting to do. So I love that you said that. What are there some other journal? Because you're the journal queen, man.
I don't know anything about journaling.
People in here actually talking about it. Hey guys, real quick. If you guys didn't catch this, we've had more and more people jump in as we've been live here. If you guys, we can't see your guys' name on our end. I know you can see it on your end, but if you can, there's a link right above where this is being streamed. If you can click that link, it'll say allow StreamYard access to share your name or something like that. Click that link, and then we'll be able to see who we're conversing with. But someone here knows that you know a little bit about journaling. How has journaling helped you in your time management and getting organized?
journaling helps with just so much more than time management and organization. But that's a different topic for a different day. When it comes to time management, it's like you said, I write down everything. And I mean, it could be from something as simple as making my bed, and I'm not like jotting down, it took me 2 minutes to make my bed today. Like, it's mostly so I can see the progress that I've made for the day, and
Mm-hmm.
see how I like habits that I've maintained consistency in. But when it comes to journaling for me, my time management is split up between two different things. I have it split between work management and home management. And the reason I do that
Interesting.
is because those two things interweave um, very, I don't know what the right word.
Give me an example. What are those two things? What do you mean?
So when I plan out my day, I do it the night ahead of time. So the night before the next day, I go through my calendar and I check to see what kind of meetings I have. I check to see if I have appointments for my kids. And this takes me like 10, 15 minutes maybe. Um, but I actually have a journal right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you can't see it. It says positive mind, positive vibes, positive life. So I just filled up my last journal, and this one is actually getting started in today. Um, but I split it up between work and home so I can see exactly what I need to do at what time for my work balance and then my
Mm-hmm.
home balance, and making sure that I hit all of those priorities. So if my kids have an appointment at 11 o'clock, that goes over on my home side. So I can cross reference between the two to see exactly how I need to manage my time between those two things to make sure that my day is running in a smooth operational way. And it sounds, I know from experience, when I didn't do this, listening to other people say things like this just sounded so overwhelming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, you're OCD. You have to, like, why do you need that level of organization? That's crazy. What are you doing? Why are you spending so much time on that? And it really doesn't take much time at all to do anything. In hindsight, it takes little to no time at all, and you save yourself a lot of time and a lot of stress taking it a little bit further forward, I guess, to just have a clear picture on the way you want to have your time in your day organized. Um, so my husband James make the chaos a little less overwhelming. He sees what chaos looks like if I do not plan my day ahead of time. Like, I am scattered, I'm all over the place. It is literal chaos if I don't take the time to figure out exactly what I need to be doing in my day. Because hindsight 2020, it's not just my day that gets messed up if I'm not journaling. I'm messing up my kids' days too. Because if I forget they have an appointment, well, then now I have to call the doctor. That's another thing that I need to worry about. Okay, hey, why didn't you make your appointment? Oh, I need to reschedule it. And it gets to be too much. You're using so much energy. Why not maximizing your time and your organization?
What do you think about Rosillo's comment here? I just write whatever it comes to my mind at the moment when journaling, and I start with gratitude.
That breaks into the other side of my journal.
Oh, we got
Yeah,
like four dark corners of Carlin's journal or something here. Is this?
yeah, it's kind of, it's a little bit chaotic to anyone looking outside in, but I've got my daily schedule, I've got my affirmations, I've got my gratitudes, and then I've got the things that I accomplish. And then of course I have like little blurbs of like notes from books. I've got little blurbs from like meetings I've been in. Just, but ultimately it's my little piece of who I am that's making almost a legend for my kids. So when they get older, they can look at it and kind of get an idea of maybe a way they can structure themselves as well. But I love gratitudes a lot.
I love that. That's actually one of the. I really appreciate that you brought that up, Rosillo, because that is a way that I love to start out my day too. Actually, as a matter of fact, I have a text reminder that goes out, and everybody who's in our network to net worth Zooms has heard this before, but that's such a great way to, and I love that you wrote that because it's such a great way to start out the day. And I've got a reminder in my phone that goes off every day at 0600, and it says send gratitude text. And so I find 3 people to send those gratitude texts to. And it's amazing. I love that. I think gratitude is the best way that you can start out your day. Seth says, I feel panicky for real. I'm assuming he's talking about when he doesn't journal.
Yeah, you can feel when your thoughts aren't articulated in a visible way.
Absolutely. So how do you prioritize, and how do you set deadlines and then finish, reverse engineering and kind of breaking that stuff down?
So maximizing my time and my energy, the first thing I prioritize is anything with a time stamp on it. So if I have a meeting at 11, if I have an appointment at 2, whatever those look like, those are my priorities. So those are non-negotiables that I cannot miss. Things that kind of, I guess, secondary to that are things that I can interweave. Yeah. So if I'm creating an outline for something, I know how long it takes me to create outlines, and I generally organize things in order of importance. So if I have a deadline for something by Friday, then I try and generally get that outline done Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest. So by Friday, I've gone over that outline, I've reviewed it, and I have an idea of what I need to be focused on. So I try to stay ahead of things for me personally, because when I'm relying on last minute things, it just turns into a total crap show. Things that I can move completely or like eliminate, those are the bottom priorities for me. So order of importance is appointments, scheduled times, meetings, things that need prioritized next. And then bottom of the list is something that I would like to do but isn't necessarily needed to be done right away.
Gotcha. Well, with all this going on, because you are super, super busy on top of being a spouse and a mother, how important is it to take breaks? Do you ever take breaks? I know so many people, man, who are just under the impression that it's just like go, 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 and there's no breaks, and you got to work 18 hours a day, and you got to sleep 3 hours, and you got to do it all the time. And what would you say to that person who's like, man, I can't afford to take breaks in my day. It doesn't make sense. I've got stuff that I've got to do. I've got to jump on a phone, and I'll just jump on a phone call, and I've got to be in this Zoom, and I got to da 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 da.
You can't afford to not take a break. No, it's. I took a 30-minute nap before I got onto our podcast. Like, life is busy and chaotic, and if you're not taking the time to take care of your body, you're definitely not going to be performing at your best. I mean, think of it in like sports. You don't want to go run 16 miles before a big game. Like when you go run 16 miles before a big game, you're not going to have any energy for the game at all. Not only that, but I don't know what kind of psychopath is going to go run 16 miles.
It's funny because it obviously it makes sense. Like you typically wouldn't do that, but metaphorically speaking, like if people, let's pretend for a second, let's take the gym. Let's pretend like going to the gym and fitness was as foreign to most people as starting up a new business is. And it's funny because I love that example that you gave, and I agree 100%. Like it makes no sense to go sit there and run 16 miles every day, and maybe unless you're David freaking Goggins, but of course he's doing it, for mindset stuff and not necessarily, for fitness is just a byproduct of that. But my point being is you got people who, if fitness was as foreign as starting a business and people wanted to get into shape, they don't know whether they're supposed to be there all day, if they're supposed to go do the stair stepper and then go run 12 miles and then work every single part of their body, or if they only go to the gym, once a day or once every other day. and they walk in and they do, 3 curls and then go do 4 squats and then walk out. So I think at the same time, and I love that we're talking about time, energy, and effort here, because I think when a culmination of the 3, people drastically underestimate the amount of effort that goes into something. I mean, I'm sure you've talked to somebody who, and I talked to somebody last week. They're like, well, I don't quite, I'm trying to get my first deal. I don't quite know, why I'm not seeing any traction. I'm consistent. I'm doing things every day. And then it comes out. I ask them, like, well, how many calls are you making? They're like, well, yesterday I did 10. And I'm like, oh, that's the problem right there. Boom. That's the problem. You're drastically underestimating the amount of time, energy, and effort that goes into something.
Yeah.
You need to be upwards of 300 and 400 phone calls a day if you want to even compete with how everybody else is working. And then if you say, well, I don't have the time for that, no problem. But that's the problem that we have to solve for now. Because in this business, you either have more time or you have more money. And so you have to be very, very cognizant of your time and your energy. Alex Hormozy actually talks about this pretty often, because there's a lot of people out there who I'm sure you've heard numerous things when it comes to like sleep and rest. And you got people who are like, I remember watching a thing from Steve Harvey, and he's like, millionaires don't sleep 8 hours a day. And then you talk to people like Alex Hormozy, and he's like, dude, like, it's all about energy. He's like, I would rather sleep 8 or 9, 10 hours a day and watch Netflix if I can have a super, super intensified, focused time block of work that I can accomplish in 3, 4, 5 hour stints.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to agree with Alex on that one. Because, I mean, most of the time people are talking about what they see as success, not what has made them successful. Me personally, if I don't sleep 8 hours, I'm not getting anything done. It's a game over. We're out. Like, I mean, you text me at 9:30, you don't get replies until 6 a.m. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. I have to have a good night of sleep if I want to feel productive and be productive for the next day. And don't get me wrong, when I wake up, you can guarantee that I'm going to be going hard for as long as I can. But if my body says it's time to take a break, I'm going to listen to my body, and I'm going to take a break, because your energy is very directly correlated to your production and your success. So if you don't have any energy, you're not going to be able to think clearly. If I have an outline that I need to do and I haven't slept and I haven't given my body a break, that outline's going to be trash. Oh, and Jesse's gone. But the point remains, you can't continuously be putting your body through this insane amount of work where you're just driving it, and then you get to a point where now you don't have any energy, you're tired, you still think that you need to keep going and keep going and keep going, but you can't do that because your body is relying on you to give it the break. And if you give your body the break that you need, then your brain and your body will reward you and you'll be able to be productive. Yeah. So I think that's just something that's really not looked on. And you can listen through a lot of different books where people are saying, you need to be sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, and you need to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and don't go to sleep until 11, and do this and do that. And then you look at the results from the people that are taking that advice, and they're tired, they're worn out, they're drained, they can't put all of their effort into anything because they don't have the energy to do it. Their time management is completely screwed up because right now time's just a theory at that point. Like, what is time? Who knows? Nobody knows. So I think it's really important to be able to get the T. You gotta give your body what it needs.
To get the T, you got to get the E.
Yeah. To get the T, you got to get the E.
Facebook user says, I'm at a point now less sleep had completely burned out my adrenals. It's interesting. Julie says time for a nap.
I seriously took a nap before this. Like my daily nap is a non-negotiable right now.
Facebook user says, agreed, Carlin. Without sleeping 8 hours a day, I may be the most unproductive and confused person in that scenario. Health is wealth. Trying to get that fixed right now.
You and me both, Facebook user. You and me both.
Oh, it's Joel. All this is you, Joel? I believe that. I can believe that. Joel says he doesn't really sleep much. That makes sense. So we talk about energy management for a second, Carlin. No, it's important, obviously, because it helps you focus on the task and avoid distractions, and obviously helps you stay motivated. What are some of those things that you do to help manage your energy and conserve your energy, other than take a nap? Like, how does that fall into like time blocking?
For me, energy goes into a couple different things. My nightly routine, James and I have TV shows that we watch together at night, and so I try my best to not be engaged with technology. That doesn't work. But once I go back to my bedroom, my phone is off. It's on the floor on the other side of the room. Exercising, I'd love to say I exercise, but it mostly is chasing kids. So that's like I run like 7 miles a day. Bro. Yeah, I run like 7 miles a day realistically. To me, I think the biggest one for me personally, and everybody's body is different, is just getting the rest I need. If my body says it's time to sleep, I'm gonna go to sleep. For some people, maybe you need to go exercise. James, he goes to the gym every single morning religiously. That's his routine. He wakes up, goes straight to the gym. The other thing that I see my husband do, he eats a bowl of peanut butter with bananas and milk every single night. That's like his go-to meal. So for him, nutrition and exercise is really important. For me, on the opposite end of the spectrum, having clarity. So my journal is important to me. Having time to actually sleep, take naps, that's important to me. So can you highlight that one? Nutrition is key for real. Facebook user, I'm thinking that's probably Joel still. I am the worst at nutrition. If it's up to me, I'm probably going to eat a bag of pizza rolls. But one of my favorite things to eat is actually salmon. I can make it quickly. It's good for my body. I know that it's helping my body in a lot of beneficial ways. And that's something my doctor recommended. To me, it's like a 10-minute meal. My kids, because I recognize that nutrition is important for them. They never go to school without like a healthy breakfast. Mm-hmm. So this morning, I actually sent you a picture of their breakfast this morning. This morning they ate a parfait. So good. It was Greek yogurt, a keto nut granola mix with berries, like stuff like that. And I can tell the difference in them if I just give them a bowl of cereal versus actually taking the time to make something good for them. So it's not just what you see in yourself. You can really see it, especially with kids. You can see it directly related to them. Mm-hmm. So those are what's important to me. James has his own routine. I think a lot of it is just recognizing what your body needs.
Absolutely. And not only recognizing it, but acknowledging it and giving yourself that grace and saying, hey, it is okay to give myself to go in here and take a nap. When I started waking up at 3 a.m., it wasn't like I was like, all right, I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. I'm going to be productive AF all day. That didn't happen. There were so many times where when I started waking up that early just to develop that habit, my body wasn't used to it, but I did it just to get uncomfortable, just to try new things. And I was scheduling like a 45-minute to an hour nap every day. But because I was on top of my time management, it was okay. I could give myself that grace and say, hey, it's fine to do this. I didn't have to be sitting here just hammering calls and jumping from meeting to meeting, having all these different, conversations. Because contrary to popular belief, just because you're busy does not mean that you are being productive. And so it's really important, like Carlin said, to listen to what your body needs, and at the same time acknowledge up here that it is okay to give yourself that grace, and you can still be even more productive than you would if you didn't take that nap.
I think that's the big one, is like giving yourself the grace to do it. Because I talked to so many people that are like, yeah, I'm just so tired, and go take a nap. Well, I can't because I have to do this, 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 and this. I'm like, well, how are you going to do this, 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 and this if you can't even have a conversation right now? Like, if you're so tired that you're falling asleep on your laptop, how are you supposed to get any of that work done? And how are you supposed to feel good about getting that work done? Like, what's the effort that you're going to be able to put into any of that stuff? Because if I'm not getting the sleep I need, my effort is going to be very minimal. It is going to be wholeheartedly half-assed.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
That's a horrible feeling.
Rocio, thank you. This is my 2-year-old. As you guys can see, you guys have probably, if you guys have been following, me at all at any period of time, oftentimes me or Carlin, anytime we're doing lives or Zooms or podcasts or, whatever, you'll see our kids come in and out. And that's kind of one of those things where it's important to give yourself that grace and say, hey, just because my daughter doesn't want to lay down, it's not an excuse to come in and to not do the things that you need to do. But it's important to give yourself that grace and say, if you got to make phone, I can't tell you how many phone calls I made to sellers, hundreds, if not thousands, with kids screaming in the background. And in a lot of ways, you just got to give yourself that grace. And sometimes it actually kind of works in your favor. It kind of humanizes things a little bit. It says, hey, you know what? I see them. They're failing forward. I can do it too. I can take a Zoom meeting. I can take a phone call. I can go start that podcast. I can go do, whatever. And we talked about this. Was it last week? It's about living an integrated life. It's not, we got to shy away from that 9-to-5 mentality of, hey, I'm going to do things at this time. And then at this time, everything stops. And it's just like family time and blah, 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 blah. Oftentimes that's not the case. It's about living an integrated life. It's not an either or. And part of what we're talking about with regard to your time and your energy and listening to your mind and your body is, acknowledging that and giving yourself that grace to say, hey, it's okay. It is A-okay. Julie says, I slept until 6:30 this morning. Usually up by 5:30. Oh, good for you. Good for you. It's an oddly underused strategy to have kids in your meetings. Dude, you know what? We ended up, we do this thing where if there's an agent involved, not to deviate too much, but if there's an agent involved, we try to get them and their client on a Zoom instead of a phone call. And oftentimes this is what you see, because a Zoom in and of itself will kind of, lower that guard a little bit. But then when you have this going on at the same time, it's a definitely underused strategy for sure, bro. I appreciate that. Guys, by the way, this is Fergie. He goes by Fergalicious Definitious. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. There's Hercules himself. Anyway, all this to say, guys, your time, energy, and effort is extremely important. It's something to be very, very conscientious of, and to make sure that you're cognizant of documenting those things and then listening to your body as well. And maybe I think we should make this a 2-part series, Carlin, because now we've kind of talked a little bit about some of these things. Actually, and we'll dive into a little bit more before we wrap up. But I want to talk about, I want to have like I want to make this a 2-part series, because I want to next week, maybe we'll do it next week. We'll do part 2 and showcase how you take this information and then you go and do something with it. Not only is this stuff good, and it's a way to think and get organized and to structure your day and to give yourself that ability to say, hey, this is okay to do this. But then let's take this and let's apply it to your business, and really showcasing how time, energy, and effort play into thinking differently and thinking bigger. And when you can think bigger, you're going to do a lot less, like you said, and your time is managed appropriately. You're going to have way more time back to your family, and you're going to skyrocket your business even more. So I think that would be kind of a neat 2-part series. Well, we've talked about time management, we've talked about energy, and the effort being put forth. So putting your best effort doesn't mean using all of your energy. It takes more work to be lazy than to do it right. Tell me about that, Carlin. It takes more work to be lazy than to do it right. What does that mean?
That's actually something that my dad tells me. Um, it used to be the most annoying thing ever, but if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So my house looks like a third grade art room. And one of the quotes that I have is the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Ooh, I love that.
So if you do something half-assed, it's the whole experience is going to be half-assed. So if I had to do an outline for something and I just kind of like threw it together and was like, okay, this is going to be good enough, then it's going to be very difficult to actually touch on that topic. But I'm also going to have to go back and do it again. And that time you're going to have to go back and do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And James is probably going to be like, oh, why don't you do that for doing the dishes? But if you just do it right the first time, then you're saving yourself time and energy having to go back and do it again and go do it the right way on top of that. So my dad, he would say, he'd like beat it into me. He's like, it takes way more work to be lazy. And it mostly relates to high school and the lack of effort that I put into high school, because I'd get these homework assignments and I would do it exactly the opposite way of 28-year-old Carlin. Like if 28-year-old Carlin could have a conversation with 18-year-old Carlin, it'd probably be like, if you just did it the right way the first time, you'd get a lot more accomplished. Is book report the night before, maybe the morning of, possibly the period before that book report, whatever I could do to not have to do it right away, it would just be so mediocre. And I look at it now and I'm not aiming for mediocre. Like I'm aiming for top level success. And doing something half-assed is not going to get me to that top level.
Why do you think people do things half-assed? Do you think it's a conscientious thing? Do you think it's an intentional thing?
Honestly, I think that's kind of a trick question, because there's different reasons for everybody. For me, it was the lack of confidence and just really not caring. Like I'd look at it and be like, what is this book going to do for my life? Lo and behold, did I realize that I would be voluntarily reading Ralph Waldo Emerson? No, I did not know that. So had I paid attention, that book probably would have meant a little bit more to me now.
Mm-hmm.
But not having the confidence, not feeling like you're capable, maybe you're tired. Maybe you haven't eaten properly. There's all sorts of reasons for why someone wouldn't put in the full effort. But I think when you actually do, there's that sense of pride and achievement and accomplishment, and being able to look at something and be like, I did that. Like if I could look at the things I do with my life the same way I do with my kids and just be like, yeah, I made that. That's cool. I did that. Like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's I love Rocio. Thank you for putting your guys' comments in here. Rocio said mindset. I think there's so much to be said about mindset. I think there are so many people that just whether it's intentionally or not, they're just kind of going through the motions. I mean, how many times have you read a book and not been intentional with it?
Yeah.
That small shift in intentionality is something that will produce massive results. From taking the time to read it, to take notes on it, and then to go and implement it, go into practice it. I can't tell you how many times I've read like How to Win Friends and Influence People as an example. I mean, talk about just countless, little tidbits and golden nuggets and things like that to go and actually implement and put into place. And when you read something like that, you don't got to do everything, because there's like a million different things that you could do within that one book alone. And then each time that you read it, you're at a different season in your life. So you're going to be taking something else from it that you didn't. You're going to take it a completely different 20 things from it than you did the first time that you read it. And so it can get really overwhelming. So I think it's important. Part of conserving your time, energy, and effort into producing massive results is to take little things like that and take it in bite-sized pieces and practice them and implement them. Be intentional with them. With anything, with any information that you're given, anything that is you're trying to do in your guys' business, with whatever avatar you is. And I'll use myself as a quick example. I'm a closer. And so as a closer, you could see how most people, would probably think, hey, I need to be generating leads. I need to have a CRM to manage those leads. I need to be tracking everything. I need to be following up on everything. Where's everybody getting the paperwork from? Where do I go get buyers from? So they start doing all of these things, and they're just completely maximizing not maximizing in a good way, but they're taking up every single second of their day on things that aren't the highest producing. And so it's really important to be cognizant of those things and to be journaling the things that you guys are doing in your day-to-day. Just document it. It doesn't have to be like this big book that you guys are writing in your journal, but everybody who's watching and everybody who's going to end up listening to this in the future, if there is one thing that you guys can take away from this that'll serve as a stepping stone for episodes to come, is start journaling. Go get yourself a journal. I know Carlin shared her journal. It can be anything you guys want, but I went and bought this one from Walmart. It says God, goals, growing, and glowing. And that's my journal.
Oh, we've got a theme going on here.
Do we?
Yeah, see? Positive, positive, positive. Motivational journals.
Nothing but abundance, man. But if there's one action step that you guys take from this, it is go get a journal today. If you don't have one, go get one. Go get one from Walmart. And one of the things that you guys do, I'm gonna take Rosillo's thing, because I love that. Start out with gratitude. And then write down what you guys did that day. Just document what you did. Just simply write down what you did. Got a random phone call from John. Jumped into a Zoom, talked about this. Jumped into a Zoom, had a phone call, called sellers, did X, Y, and Z, listened to a podcast, whatever it is that you did, just write it down in your journal. Just document it. Nothing more. Just before you go to bed, just document, this is how my day went. This is what I did this day. And do that Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, take 15 or 20 minutes and just go through.
Oh, you disappeared.
My 2-year-old loves my mixing board. But just document what you guys did. And then on Sunday, go through it and write down, where did I waste time? And in coming episodes, like I said, this episode kind of served as a foundation, as a launch pad for things that we're going to be talking about in the future. But you're going to start to see, if you can get into this practice right now, then really learning where your time is being wasted and how you could, and I'm not exaggerating this in any way, shape, or form, how you could take those 6 hours and literally make 6 figures a month. With those 6 hours, imagine 6 hours wasted in a week. That's 1 hour a day. Monday through Saturday, that was wasted. So you times that by 4, that's 24 hours in a month. That was just completely wasted. When you get really, really intentional and start removing yourself from the little small tasks in your business, as you focus on bigger goals, you'll start to really see where those hours and those minutes add up, and you can do massive things with them. Yeah, time is your most valuable resource. Time is non-refundable. Thank you, Jennifer. Julie, thank you for being here. My journal is a creation journal. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Doodle pages.
Do what?
I said I've got tons of doodle pages.
Love it. Well, Carlin, anything before we depart? Any final words? Words of wisdom?
I think just finding what you're good at will really help you maximize your time, energy, and effort. I think a lot of people put a lot of all of those things. They put a lot of their tea into things that aren't their superpowers. And when you find what you're good at, those 3 things come very easily.
Dude, that was awesome. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, and I said, hey, you know what? Grace is, oh my gosh, grace is such an important part of this whole thing. Giving yourself grace. I can't tell you, if you guys don't know what that one thing is that you guys need to be doing, take between now and Sunday night and just think about it. Don't do anything. Don't jump into any Zooms. Don't feel like you got to do anything. The only thing I want you to take some time to reflect, take some time to journal, take some time to document, take some time to meditate, to just think, what is the one thing that I could be doing right now, that I could pour my time, energy, and effort into 100% this whole thing? And you'll start to see your progress just absolutely skyrocket. You'll start to see more opportunities throughout your day and throughout your week where you can really grow and expedite a lot of the things that you used to be doing that were considered low-level tasks. So I appreciate you sharing that. And Jeff, Carlin is absolutely throwing fire out here, man. Thank you for being here, guys. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. A couple of things. If you guys aren't part of the book club, Carlin is hosting book club. We've got, actually, Carlin, how about you introduce it a little bit? Let everybody know how often it is, what everybody's reading. I know we've got, how long do we got? 5 hours left before book club. So just enough time to get in a book if you put it on double speed and don't do anything else.
There's good time for energy and effort right
knock
there.
out a book real quick. Exactly.
Just knock out a book. So book club is tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are wrapping up The Power of One More by Ed Milet, which has it's such a good book. I'm actually reading it for the 3rd time right now. So if you have read that book, I would absolutely love to be able to have a fabulous discussion and really get perspectives and thoughts and opinions. And if you haven't read the book, I mean, there's always gems to pick up from things people say. So I believe we sent out an email just a little while ago with the link for that. So if you're on our email list, you should have received the link to get into book club. If you have not, then I think we probably need to chat and figure out how we can get you into the emails so you can be seeing what we're doing with the Growth Co. and the different things that we're working on.
We got a lot we're going on throughout the week.
Yeah.
So we got Tuesdays. If you guys are a connector, we've got a network to net worth series that we've been doing every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to learn how to monetize just from the relationships that you guys have, make sure you're in there. We even have a Facebook group for it. That's on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, Chris and I are doing a business breakdown where we are putting one person each week in a hot seat who is struggling in their business, and we are tearing it apart and we are rebuilding it in that hour. So that's business breakdown. That's happening every Wednesday. And then every Friday, we've got this podcast. We've got book club. Now that's every other Friday that you're doing that, right?
Book club is every other Friday. So
you got 2 weeks to polish off a book.
Right.
Okay, cool. Perfect. And then every Saturday we've got our House of Cards. Now I had a text from an individual right before we went live, but he asked me what the difference was between the Growth Co and the House of Cards. So the House of Cards is mainly just real estate focused Facebook group, and then the Growth Co is, you know, mindset, coaching, all that kind of stuff. And so the thing that I love about it is real estate and the issues that you have in real estate, they're not necessarily like resolving those issues and fixing those problems aren't like, it's not just a real estate centric. It's not real estate centered. Like in order to fix those problems, you got to have the mindset to fix those problems as well. And so that's one of the things that I love about what we do is they walk hand in hand. As you elevate your mindset, you elevate your thinking, you elevate your way of solving problems, of leveraging people, of building relationships, all those kinds of things. And so they walk hand in hand. So that's kind of one of my favorite things about it. But those are kind of the two differences. One is kind of self-development focused, and then the other is real estate focused. So just wanted to kind of clear that up. But I appreciate you guys. Julie, you are amazing. I love your face. Your camping trips look absolutely epic. I had to go winterize my camper because you've probably seen my pictures. Winter is basically here. We're about to have snow. Actually, I went to the gym this morning, and there were people who had snow on their cars. So they live, I would assume, a little bit further north than I do. Not by much, though. So it's right around the corner. But, guys, I hope everybody has an amazing Friday. Yes. Yeah, she is. She's something else. So anyway, I'm going to go put Thriller on for this one and get to work. Hope you guys have an awesome Friday. Thank Growth. It's Friday. I appreciate you guys being here.